Fast, 9 News is live and local. While others do their news from Melbourne, 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide. Weeknights at 5.
First in Adelaide's 9 News at 5.
Nightly at 6.
And the unprecedented police operation.
We go to some breaking news now, and crews are right now at the scene.
And that's why the switch is on to 9 News.
This is FIVEAA Summer Afternoons.
Well, Friday before Christmas for many of you, it's your last day. I know school holidays have started. Don't know whether you're going away, staying home. Hope you're listening in. And I'm getting a few text messages and some calls about air fryers. I'm quite serious in terms of I don't know whether to get one. My best friend swears by it. And Josh has told me, my producer, that it's well worth it. Marty just sent me one saying, fryer cooks well but are a pain to clean. They're heavy and take up a lot of space. I use it mainly for chips, wings and fish. Thanks, Marty. I think I guess it really depends what you're going to use it for, but I'm very keen to play with it. Maybe I should just borrow one for a start. And then we'll see how we go. My next guest, we're going to wine now. We've been talking food for most of the day. Fabulous woman, Louisa Rose. Welcome, Louisa.
Hi, Sandy. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. Louisa is the head of sustainability and brand ambassador for winemaker Hillsmith Family Estates, which people would know Yalumba as the label. And I thought it was 20 years, but you just told me it was 30 years.
Yes, I've done 32 vintages for the Hillsmith family. So,
oh my God, that's a lifetime. But I mean, you have so many accolades. You've been named Winemaker of the Year by Gourmet Traveller Wine. The Australian Society of Viticulture and Winemaking voted Best Winemaker in Australia by 100 of your peers, being winemakers and sommeliers and wine buyers. I mean, they're huge accolades. Maybe. And this is over vintage after vintage after vintage.
Well, I'm very lucky to work for a family that, in fact, was the Hillsmith family, who'll celebrate 175 years in 2024 of family ownership. So they're the oldest family-owned winery in Australia.
Oh, I was going to ask you, are they the oldest? Yeah.
Yep. Not the oldest winery, but the oldest family-owned
winery.
Yeah, and I work with Robert Hillsmith and his daughter Jessica, who's generations 5 and 6. But I work with people. So we had our Christmas. The family throw a Christmas party for everybody at the winery. That was yesterday. And
so how are you feeling today?
Oh, no, it was quite well. There might still be some people with a bit of a headache, but no, I'm fine. But it was, they give us this beautiful lunch, and then we listen to a few speeches, and then we listen to, the list of people that, are up to 21 years and 30 years and 35 and 40. And there's a gentleman, that's still working there. And quite honestly, he looks nowhere near retiring age. He's worked there for 51 years.
Wow.
So, 30 years
That's
is nothing really in the scheme of things. But what you get when you work in a family business like that is I feel only 1 or 2 people removed from people that worked there, nearly 100 years ago. Rudi Kronberger, for example, was an Austrian winemaker, came out in the 1920s. Great Riesling lover, man. I wish I'd met him. I never met him, but I feel like I've known him because I was only one sort of chief winemaker, removed from that story of what an amazing person he was and the legacies that he's left. And so you learn from all of this tradition and the history, and you've got so much sort of stories and things to sort of make sure that ultimately what you're doing is still relevant and And we're still making these, delicious wines. But we know so much about the history, and particularly around the vineyards and the grape varieties. Just gives you a lot of confidence to go forth and make fun stuff.
Make fun stuff. Years ago, we're going back now, I ran a restaurant. So our family had a restaurant in the city, and it was called the Private Bin, and it was called the Private Bin because it had a very excellent wine selection. So I used to, be part of buying the wines and things like that. And I look at the wine list. I kept a copy of the wine list and the menu. And the wine list, has FIVEAA on it. It did have Jim Barry's Riesling, but it's like, Matus Rosé is just some of these really very famous at the time wines that people, and the tastes, our palates has changed so much, haven't they?
They have, and I think it's a bit like fashion, clothes fashion. Our Christmas party was also what was it, a dress up day. There's a theme, and we dress up to the theme in departments, and people laugh at the old clothes they get out of wardrobes and stuff, but it's the same. At the time, they were perfectly appropriate. They fitted our lifestyles, and I think food and wine, I often put them together because I think our taste in wine and what we enjoy with wine is very much about what we're also enjoying in terms of food. And, if you think about the influences of the multicultural cuisines that we have in Australia today, it's not surprising that our taste in wine is now so vast, and we have so many different varieties and styles to mix and match and to suit that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah, it's really changed over the years. So particularly, we were the home of those very big, bold reds, and you drank Shiraz or perhaps a Cabernet Sauvignon, but you didn't drink any other varieties, whereas now, they're from very light to very heavy.
Exactly. And there's a wine that, is to suit, every occasion. And I think that's, for many people, it's the fun of exploring those different styles. And then for those that aren't, quite so confident to leap in and make those purchases, there's so many great wine people, particularly in South Australia, which is sort of the Australian home of wine. There's so many experts that, from your sommeliers to the people at the local bottle shops that will give you advice, and it's just, I think it's really exciting.
I was talking to Minister Andrea Michaels earlier on this week around small businesses, and she actually said the stat was amazing. It was about 700 wineries and more than 300 cellar doors in South Australia. Is that sort of extraordinary on a world scale, or is it just specific to the state? It seemed to be such a huge number. It's
not large on a global scale. And in fact, our wine regions, people often say, the Barossa is such a big wine region. And go, yeah, well, it's big, but it's nowhere near the size of the Napa or Bordeaux
Napa Valley,
or those. So, but for a country with a population that we've, of whatever we're up to, 25, 8, whatever, however many million people we've got, and the fact that so much of our country, isn't arable, that it does, it's a good representation. But South Australia also represents, approximately half of the Australian wine industry.
Oh,
so we're quite concentrated here. And of course, Adelaide, you can drive to, many of the South Australian, wine regions on for a day trip.
For a day trip. Yeah, they're very close. We during COVID, actually, when the restrictions lifted, but you were still not able to go interstate, we would pick a different wine region every couple of weeks, and it was just, I always think you should explore your own backyard before you leave your house, So it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah, and what is relatively unique in Australia is the ability to go to wineries and go to cellar doors and to speak to the people there and taste wines. That's something that is not as common around the world, or if it is, it becomes quite formal.
We're going to go to a short break, and then I'm going to ask you about being the head of sustainability, because that is a really big thing moving forward.
5AA Afternoons has an exciting new sound in 2024.
Now I've decided to come back into the real world.
Stacey Lee takes the mic from January 15.
Oh, maybe I should put that in my diary as well.
As stories develop across Adelaide, Stacey will have them covered.
I still want to do a bit of news. The news doesn't stop.
5AA Afternoons with Stacey Lee.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Weekday afternoons from 1:30. Adelaide's 5AA.
That's the bell. Here comes the catch of the day from SA King Prawns. When Tony, Heather and their crew aren't at sea, they're selling their delicious catch in the SA King Prawn store in Edinburgh North. They've been hauling in new season king prawns for your Christmas feast. They're cooked and frozen at sea on board their trawler, Maria L. Don't miss out on these Spencer Gulf King Prawns, now available from SA King Prawns, 15 Hewitson Road, Edinburgh North. Open 6 days. Buy direct from the prawn fishermen. SA King Prawns.
This festive season, find thoughtful gifts for everyone on your list at Maya, with up to 40% off selected women's shoes, handbags and wallets. On sale for a limited time and subject to availability. Exclusions and conditions apply.
Maya, my store.
If you're thinking of building or you're renovating your kitchen, you have a lot of choices to make, but the first choice should be SMEG. We have an amazing SMEG showroom right here in Adelaide. Debney Distributors is in Dudley Park. Inside you'll find the full SMEG range on display, with everything from ovens, cooktops, dishwashers and refrigerators to wine cellars, kettles, toasters and more. I wonder if they have air fryers. SMEG seamlessly pairs powerful performance with architectural design. They are even cooking demonstrations. You can really taste the difference with SMEG. SMEG has also been proudly made in Italy since 1948, and their colour, design and technology is world famous. SMEG, technology with style. Visit the SMEG showroom today at Debney Distributors, Harrison Road, Dudley Park.
Scroll. 6 KFC original tenders for just $6.95. Shut up and take my money! Oh, that is the perfect crispy arvo pick-me-up.
Not everywhere and not forever. Only on kfc.com.au and KFC app. Pick up only.
Mawson Lakes Mazda's 2023 plate clearance sale is on now. Discover amazing deals across the entire range, including free on-road costs on all cars. That's right, free on-road costs across the entire Mazda range. Hurry in to find your perfect model and colour. The sooner you get to the showroom, the better your chance of scoring your dream car. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city, Salisbury Highway.
I'm here with Bronte from Toop and Toop. And Bronte, I hear you and the team at Toop will be on the tools right across the holiday season. So can you tell us what buyer activity is going to look like over the coming weeks?
That's right. It's the festive season, but the real estate industry never goes on holidays. With depleted stock levels across Adelaide, buyer demand continues to outweigh supply. Home values remain at record high levels, and that's unlikely to change anytime soon.
So if that's the case, does it really matter who sells your home?
There is a great risk in putting a hot buyer in front of an inexperienced agent. Using an agent without the right skill set and experience could literally cost you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, with a team of unrivaled experience, Toop and Toop are perfectly placed to help maximise the return on your home. Visit toop.com.au to find out more.
This is 5AA Summer Afternoons.
Welcome back. My guest is Louisa Rose, the Head of Sustainability and Brand Ambassador for winemaker Hillsmith Family Estates, which, of course, one of their best-known labels is Yalumba. It was interesting that you said that it's a fifth and sixth generation at Yalumba, or the Hillsmith family, because earlier on today I had Mark Webber who was talking about when you trace your family tree, and their records would go way back. They'd have I don't know if they've done their family tree, but they'd probably have a good time if they did.
I think they've got a fairly good idea right back to when Samuel Smith came out from Dorset in the 1840s.
I know that they've spent a lot of time looking at history and stories, and I've just got a text saying Lower Northeast Road, Campbelltown, heading out of the city. Traffic is down to one lane, so be careful if you're driving over there. Louisa, what does it mean to be the head of sustainability?
Well, sustainability is a really, it's a moving target at the moment, and it's a name that I think some people are, thinking is becoming a bit of a sort of a catch cry. But fundamentally, it's about, particularly working for a family business, it's about ensuring that your business is set up for future generations, and that is how we think at the Hillsmith Family Estates. We talk about sustainability as generational sustainability, and it's something that's really inherent to a business. It's also quite inherent to a business that is in agriculture, and particularly when you are owning vineyards, growing grapes, which in many cases are as old, if not older, than the business itself. So you probably know, Sandy, but in the Barossa, for example, we have some of the oldest grape vines anywhere in the world. I
didn't know that, actually.
So in the Barossa, there's, as far as we know, there's the oldest Shiraz, which was planted in 1843. That's the Langmire Freedom Vineyard down there, which is pretty amazing, isn't it, when you think about time and how long they could be there. Because, of course, what happened was they came into They came into Australia. They came into South Australia, at that time, and they were planted. And then when Phylloxera, that nasty little aphid that originally came from North America, it lives on the roots of the native grapevines in America, it was transported by accident into Europe, and it decimated the wine industry in Europe. And it did come in around Melbourne in Australia in the sort of 1870s. And the thing I think is amazing, that in 1875, the colony of South Australia realised at that point how important the wine industry was going to be, and they put up these sort of quarantine, boundaries at that point in time and said no grapevine material is going to come into South Australia.
That's extraordinary for foresight,
isn't it?
In 1875.
I know, quite incredible. And that quarantine was really strict. I mean, look, would somebody have shuffled, put something in their pocket? Probably. But in reality, luckily, Phylloxera and other diseases never came in. But that was there right up until 1963 when the laws, they changed. I mean, we obviously still got very, important quarantine laws coming into South Australia and Australia, of course. And that's protected it. And that's what's happened. So the vines that these Shiraz vines, for example, their parents, where the cuttings were taken from originally in Europe, died out. And so they're the oldest ones. We've also got the oldest, Grenache, Semillon, Mataro, Cabernet, and Riesling. All in the Barossa and the Eden Valley. So it's quite an amazing resource. So, that's what sustainability is about, in wine, certainly in the environmental side of it. And of course then, we hear about sustainability, people talk about, the E and the S and the G, and the S and the G, social and governance, are obviously very important as well. And, as far as social goes, we think about our workforce. We've already talked a little bit about, people, the longevity of people coming there, but people stay because they feel that they're doing something important. And that's important, keeping people, safe, keeping them healthy, providing all the things that great employers should do.
Amazing sense of belonging as well.
It is a sense of belonging. And then, the community is important. The Hillsmith family, are very much a part of the Angaston community because that's where the winery, home base is, just out of Angaston. They support the local sports teams, all of the, the tennis and the bowls and the football and the cricket, and I'm sure there's others. There's probably a darts club. I don't know. No, I don't know if there's a darts club. But, as well as, supporting the arts and as well. So it's not just about wine, it's about the whole, everything around society, and making sure that, we're contributing as much as we can to the, to the future and that sustainability of our society and our communities.
Yeah, and you've been at the forefront of a lot of the work that's not just done for Yalumba or for Hillsmiths, but across the winemaking community, haven't you?
Yeah, and so now it's really exciting. The Australian wine industry now has a national sustainability program, which like everything around sustainability is growing. It's a continuous improvement program, and it in itself is improving. It's audited by a third party, and so when people they'll start to see, there are many wines out there now, and you'll see more and more having a little logo on the back labels, which is called Sustainable Wine Growing Australia, and people will know when they buy those wines that the grapes, come from certified vineyards and they're made in certified wineries. And when we think about that program, it's looking at best practice in terms of, waste, soils, fertilisers, pesticides, all of the things that go into energy use, fuel use, and as well as into the work health and safety and some of those the more S's in the ESG as well. So
my guest is Louisa Rose, who's the Head of Sustainability and Brand Ambassador for winemaker Hillsmith Family Estates, and has as I now know, a 30-year career at Yalumba as a winemaker, and is incredibly well known across the wine industry. In terms of some maybe great wines for us to try over the Christmas break?
Sure. Well, as I often say, you could spend every day of your life having a different wine and never have to go back. So
what a great idea. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Such a range of wines. And look, if you don't know, it's always great to ask. There's lots of experts out there, as I said before. If you go into your local, bottle shop or, restaurant, they'll give you advice. But for us, Christmas is often about sparkling wine. And one of the great, the things that's quite unique to Australia are the sparkling sparkling reds. You know, we used to talk about them being sparkling burgundies, not anymore. No, Sandy, they don't all give you a headache. But there are some really beautiful ones like that. So that's always a fun way to sort of start Christmas Day off. But it depends on what you're having. If you're having seafood, then of course, you know, Eden Valley and Clare Riesling, perfect matches for seafood. If you're going with something a bit more traditional, then there are, you know, some of the beautiful sort of Shiraz or medium-bodied red wines like Grenache. You know, now Grenache is having a real resurgence.
I think that's my favourite at the moment.
And people, you know, a lot of people I think it's something that's sort of new and exciting. In fact, it's some of the oldest vines in Australia.
I know, isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, which is just amazing. So, but so beautiful. And then something that's quite special for Yalumba is the variety Viognier, which we have pioneered in Australia. And I think one of the great food wines, and it will match with everything. It will go with everything from your seafood to your turkey or your ham, or, you know, even if you're having a barbecue. It's a very, very versatile food.
Good to try something different at Christmas as well. Yeah. And are you going to get a break over Christmas?
Yes, indeed. Yes, this is for winemakers. There's always that you know, bit of time over Christmas. Unfortunately, the viticulturalists and grape growers are still working, but winemakers get a bit of a break before we start picking grapes. By the end of January, vintage will have started again.
Take a deep breath. Thank you so much for joining me today.
That was my pleasure.
And it's wonderful to hear actually about the longevity, which I hadn't really thought about, and how extraordinary and the foresight was to protect our wine industry all those years ago.
All the best for Christmas, Andy.
You too.
Saturday mornings from 9.
Join KG and Cornsey
For the Saturday Sports Show.
Cyril of Kensington Gardens. Adelaide is waiting for Cyril's verdict.
7 players out of 64 drafted from SA. All the list managers and all the national recruitment managers are all based in Melbourne. Why the hell do they keep just looking at the Victorian under-18 competition?
Saturday mornings from 9.
Why don't we spend a bit more time on the SANFL?
The Saturday Sports Show on Adelaide's 5AA.
Your new fence at Adelaide's best price, or we'll beat it by 5%. Bargain Steel Centre. But your fence might just be the most affordable. We'll also custom make the fence to your design at Adelaide's best price. That's tubular, aluminium, steel or picket, even with secure automatic sliding or custom-made leaf gates. Your new fence fully installed at Adelaide's best price, or we'll beat it by 5%.
Suppliers of Colorbond Steel, bargainsteelcentre.com.au.
Gift cheaper this Christmas at Cheapest Chips.
Cheapest Chips.
Blaupunkt 55-inch TV, only $499, save $200. Hills retractable hose and reel, only $99, save $60. Germanica 25-litre air fryer oven, $99, save $90. And don't miss these Boxing Day only deals with 30% off white goods and 50% off pantries. Check out this week's catalogue for more Boxing Day only deals. Live cheaper and gift cheaper this Christmas at Cheapest Chips, in store and online.
Use your optical benefits on the glasses you really want. At Bailey Nelson Optometry, our frames come with standard single vision lenses from just $189. With a range of handcrafted, thoughtfully designed frames, you'll always be on trend. We've got amazing optometrists in all our stores, so you can sort out your prescription and glasses in one trip. Plus, with our new BN Kids range, there's frames for the whole family. Book a bulk build eye exam today and find your perfect pair at baileynelson.com.au or visit your local Bailey Nelson store today.
Experience performance and luxury like no other at Adelaide BMW. Take advantage of minimum savings equal to the GST on demonstrator and select new models. This outstanding offer includes 5-year 80,000 kilometre BSI and 5-year warranty. Think BMW. Think Adelaide BMW West Terrace Adelaide. Visit adelaidebmw.com.au. 36 to 40 West Terrace Adelaide. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply. Offer ends 31st December 2023. LVD 173.
If you're a gardener, then you know the first place you want to be is in your garden. The second is a garden grove, sipping a really good coffee while you tuck into a scrumptious breakfast. Or sipping a glass of wine and chatting over the chef's special. Because the thing about Garden Grove is, it's not just the garden centre that's amazing. So is the cafe.
Garden Grove, the garden that I want.
gardengrove.com.au. Golden Grove.
That's the bell. Here comes the catch of the day from SA King Prawns. When Tony, Heather and their crew aren't at sea, they're selling their delicious catch in the SA King Prawn store in Edinburgh North. They've been hauling in new season king prawns for your Christmas feast. They're cooked and frozen at sea on board their trawler, Maria L. Don't miss out on these Spencer Gulf King Prawns, now available from SA King Prawns, 15 Hewitson Road, Edinburgh North. Open 6 days. Buy direct from the prawn fishermen. SA King Prawns.
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Good afternoon, Mel Usher with the latest news headlines. Jacinta Davila is being released on bail this afternoon after the murder charge relating to Dr Michael Jung was dropped. She's now charged with assisting an offender. At least one person has been injured in a gas explosion at Wayville. A human finger has been found on a nature strip in the Melbourne suburb of Glenroy. And in sport, in the AFLW, the Crows have finalised their 2024 playing list with 6 players signing 2-year contract extensions. FIVEAA weather, sunny this afternoon, partly cloudy tomorrow, 27. Right now, it's 24. We'll have more news at 4 and as it happens on FIVEAA.
This is FIVEAA Summer Afternoons.
Well, welcome back. That was interesting hearing some of the history of the Barossa. I must get back up there. It's a beautiful part of the world. And the quiz today was, according to 1946 Christmas classic, It's a Wonderful Life, what happens every time a bell rings? And the answer was, an angel gets its wings. And Kimberly, you were first in, so there's a double pass to Wallace Cinemas coming your way, which you can catch a movie this week at Mitcham, Mount Barker or Noongar. And if you need the sessions, just go to wallace.com.au. And if you want to jump on the FIVEAA Facebook and YouTube live stream, thanks to Foodland Supermarkets. Hello, everyone out there. My next guest, hello, Mike Smithson. How are you going?
Yes, good, Sandy. Getting towards that end of that week and only 3 days to go, eh?
I know. I actually just got a message from my daughter, who I was going to give a lift home after work, saying, don't worry, we've all finished work now. They're going.
I think that's when you have Christmas Day on a Monday. I notice the same thing, just plenty of people knocking off what should be a work day on Friday, just sort of turns into almost half a day. I had a very nice tradie working at my place today, and he said, I've got to be gone by lunchtime because we've got pizza and beers on. And I thought, okay, fair enough. Half your luck.
Yeah, well,
you and I are
like
sitting
that.
here working our way through the day. Yeah.
Well, it's also, what are you going to get done the Friday before Christmas that anybody's going to pay attention to until mid-January, really? Except for unless you're in the media, of course. But
of course.
So, Mike, what's happening on news tonight? More twists and turns in the Dr. Michael Jung case, I just heard.
Yes, it's a dramatic change in the direction that this case is headed. We remember Dr. Michael Jung was killed a couple of weeks ago in his own home, a home invasion, and the factors behind his death, and it's been classified as a murder. Now, who is responsible for that is going to be tested in court, obviously, but a couple was arrested. About 2 days later, we had the dramatic arrest on Channel 7 from some security vision we had at Torrensville Plaza. But the gentleman who was arrested and tackled to the ground faces a murder charge. The female who was with him, Jacinta Davila, was also charged with murder, and she's been in custody ever since, a young mother who had an 8-month-old baby. But as of today, the court has decided, the prosecution's decided, that she took no part in the murder. She is an accessory to it, but she wasn't at the scene of the crime, and so her charges have been downgraded. I wouldn't say they're certainly not dropped, and they're still serious, and she will go through a trial process. But the court, probably a common sense approach, has granted her home detention bail. Otherwise, who would be looking after her young daughter? Probably her mother. But I think the fact that she clearly wasn't at the scene, that's what prosecution is saying. So we're just waiting at this moment for her to be released from the Women's Detention Centre at Northfield, we have a camera crews out there. She will have very strict home detention bail conditions, but I guess any person who is, shall we say, falsely imprisoned on a charge which has now been changed, clearly to look after her child and to be home for Christmas would be probably the best present she could have possibly hoped for on this day, I would say.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be more to be heard in that case going forward. The other one I know that you'll be talking about tonight is the latest on the Prague shooting.
Yeah, look, it's a horrible, horrible story, and we were only talking yesterday, weren't we, about it's a nice time for 2023 to wind up because there seem to be, on a world scale and a local scale, some horrific events, but a 24-year-old student opened fire in Charles University Facility for Arts in Prague, central Prague, and the toll is staggering. 15 people, at least 15 people, including the shooter himself, were killed. Another 24 in the unprecedented shooting have been injured. Now, students were forced to barricade themselves, waiting to be evacuated from the university building. And the pictures that we're seeing, students, at least a dozen of them, perched on a very narrow ledge outside, on the outside of the building, obviously, quite some way from the ground, terrified, just cowering, just anywhere to get away from where the shooter was active. So, perched on the ledge a long way up, you know your life is in great peril if you choose to take that action in Prague, which would be, 0 degrees, I would think, at this time of year.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at what is behind that. As I said, the 24-year-old student opened fire at the university's arts faculty. The Czech Prime Minister has said no justification for this horrific act, no indication the crime has any connection with international terrorism, so I suspect that has at least some glimmer of hope there, but we're told the suspect was inspired by similar shootings abroad, which we see them happening all the time in America. So, look, a truly terrible day for Czechoslovakia today, and whilst we don't like reporting unpleasant things, but this is really a major story on a world scale. And as I said, the pictures very much tell the story of just the terror that was going through the population of the university as the gunman was on the loose.
It's it was the first thing I read this morning, and I was so shocked because Prague is. I've been to Prague. You feel very, very safe in that city, and you wouldn't have thought that they'd be dealing with the sort of shootings that we generally hear come out of the USA as opposed to over there. So, and they didn't think they'd be dealing with it either, by the sounds of it.
No, they certainly didn't, and just a horrible incident at this time of year. Now, the other story that's wrapping up today, and probably most people would say about time, is the defamation trial. Bruce Lerman taking Lisa Wilkinson and Channel 10 to court over the Brittany Higgins allegations. Today it was the turn of Bruce Lerman's defence lawyer, Steve Wybrow, who is, I wouldn't want to be on the other side while he's arguing a case against me, but some of the things that have been raised yesterday, we were told that Bruce Lerman hadn't told the truth. This was in the summing up from Channel 10. Bruce Lerman's story was full of holes. Well, today it's exactly the opposite, that Mr. Wybrow has very, how can I put it, in a detailed and methodical sense, pointed out all the inaccuracies in Brittany Higgins' version of events of the night. And let's cast our mind back to that CCTV vision of her walking through the security area in Parliament House on the night. Now, she said in her evidence that she has never been as drunk in her life. And as Mr. Wybrow pointed out today, that for her to say that was a 10 out of 10 drunken episode, the fact that she appeared to be composed, this is in his words, took her shoes off, was skipping down the corridor, didn't appear to have a care in the world, certainly didn't look like that she was in fear of her safety by going through the corridors of power with Bruce Lerman. So just the way that he has portrayed her, he says she's someone who has told repeated lies, this is not a person whose evidence can be relied upon at all. She is not accurate, not a reliable historian. More significantly, she's demonstrated herself to be repeatedly and in various forms over a significant period of time less than frank and honest. Fairly a damning assessment, but not an unexpected one from Bruce Lerman's lawyers. I don't know where this case is going, Sandy, because it supposedly wraps up today. There is going to be a decision, either he was defamed or he wasn't defamed. And to me, the evidence on both sides has gone straight down the middle. I can see the pros and the cons, the truths and untruths from both sides. I don't know where it's going to end up, but the stakes are very high, and so are the legal costs at the end of all of this.
I mean, the allegations on both sides is just, I'm over it, to be perfectly honest. It's just, it just seems to be, he said, she said, he said, she said, and it's just, ongoing. But, it's also, I would sort of say, just because someone takes off their shoes and is skipping down the corridor doesn't mean that they think that they're going to end up where the evening ended up. So it's or allegedly ended up. So it's it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Well,
now.
my assessment, looking from afar, I haven't been in court. I've watched a bit of it on as it's unfolded online. But my assessment is I don't believe either of them. So where do you draw the line?
Yeah, somewhere between there is the truth. Aussie cricket and Middle East conflict. What is going on?
Well, Usman Khawaja, who we saw wore a black armband in the first test against Pakistan in Perth, he was going to have a pro, or I guess you could say a pro-Palestinian message just for lives to be saved and think about what's going on in the world written on his boots. Then that was knocked back because it is not part of the cricket etiquette, uniform etiquette, so he wore a black armband that you usually wear in the case of a bereavement if you're a sporting player. And so he wore that, but that was also against the ICC rules because it wasn't approved. So the International Cricket Council has now said to him, you're on notice, you have been charged. Now the charge is, I guess, it's more of a threat than an actual action, but if he chooses to do the same thing, which he says he is entitled to do, if he does that at the Boxing Day test, which starts, next Tuesday, I think you'll find there are sanctions against him, and that could open up a whole new can of worms. If the International Cricket Council takes punitive action against a player who is trying to support a call for peace in the Middle East, you don't know where that's going to end. So an intriguing case, not something that you see too often in sport, but in this case he seems to want to stick to his guns, although I suspect that come Tuesday he might step down and say, well, I've made my point, I'm done, and I don't want this to go any further. But interesting story indeed, so we'll have a full wrap-up of that tonight as well.
Yeah, a couple of text messages coming through from listeners. I read she's moved to France with reference to Brittany, and yes, I believe she and her partner have just headed off to France.
Yes, as we were saying on the show the other day, Sandy, my objection to that is she can do what she wants and live where she wants, but remember, she has taken $2.4 million minus costs for her legal and other expenses of Australian taxpayers' money that was awarded to her as financial compensation for what has not ever been proven. She's taken that to France where she's going to live, so she'll be spending your dollar, my dollar in France. To me, that doesn't sit well. Yeah. It doesn't look good. I'm not comfortable with that at all.
I don't think it sits well with anyone, sadly. I just don't think it does. Anyway, Mike, I've really enjoyed speaking to you each day this week, and I hope you have a great Christmas. I hope you get some time off over Christmas.
Oh, I've got next week off, but then back at the coal face after that. And Sandy, same to you. It's been a delight speaking to you every day this week, and I wish all the listeners a happy Christmas and a prosperous new year, and let's hope 2024 is bigger and better than ever.
That's it. Bring on 24. It's going to be a good year. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Sandy.
We've got an incident update on Baxter Hill Road, Mount Benson. The CFS is responding to a bushfire on Mount Benson near wrong country, near Robe in the lower southeast. Approximately 35 CFS volunteer fighters on 10 CFS trucks are currently working on fire ground, supported by farm fire units, FFUs, and 5 aircraft, including fire bombers and observational aircraft. Smoke is impacting the roads in the area and visibility may be reduced. So to ensure your safety and that of the firefighters and other emergency personnel who are working in the area, please don't enter the area unless necessary. Community members are reminded to enact their bushfire survival plan and stay informed. The message will be updated. To stay informed, you can go to the CFS website, cfs.sa.gov.au, the information hotline 1800 362 361. We'll take a break and be back.
Each week on the 5AA Sports Show, Rowie and Timmy G go courtside with the Adelaide 36ers. Catch the 36ers coach as well as star players each week with Rowie and Timmy G, thanks to ACID Transport Solutions. ACID Transport Solutions need more drivers. For a career that'll take you places, speak to ACID Transport Solutions.
There's taste bud titillations, decadent desires, and the presidential hamper. Merry Christmas, folks. I'm Brett Charlesworth, and they're just 3 of the mouth-watering Christmas gifts we make for you at Charlesworth Nuts. With 100 different gifts, from just $10 to $250, there is literally something for everyone. They're all beautifully handmade, they look stunning, and they're filled with the most amazing products. 11 family-owned stores or shop online. Why Charlesworth? Because fresh nuts taste better.
Why pick one city, one beach, one restaurant, or one view? With Celebrity Cruises, you can have it all. Explore the best of Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and Asia on ships that are destinations themselves. And now get 75% off your second guest, plus bonus savings on select dates. See celebrity.com/au, call 1800 003 002, or contact your travel advisor.
The Fish Factory want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. If fresh seafood is always a feature of your Christmas feast, make sure you check out the Fish Factory. The Fish Factory process the fish directly from the fishing boats. You can't get fresher fish unless you eat it on the boat. It is season for crayfish, buy it live or freshly cooked in a shop. There's also South Australian West Coast oysters and cooked or green South Australian king prawns. For the barbecue, there's whole fish like barramundi, kingfish, Atlantic salmon, snapper, and more, or choose from freshly filleted fish. Say that 3 times. Freshly filleted fish and frozen products. Find it all at the Fish Factory, South Australian owned and family run for over 40 years. Open all of this week, including Christmas Eve. You can call to pre-order and collect any time before Christmas Day. The Fish Factory reopens on the 27th, right up to New Year's Eve as well. So visit them, Grand Junction Road, Athol Park.
When is the best time to renovate? Right now with Bathrooms by Design. Book your renovation today, pay a deposit before the end of January, and you'll receive 15% off all bathroom renovation products. That's 15% off all products for your selections for your dream bathroom. But you only have until January 31. Excludes tiles and custom glass. All tilers, plumbers, electricians and carpenters are overseen by one project manager, and your selections are all under one roof. Visit bathroomsbydesignsa.com.au.
What's not to love about Christmas? We always enjoy prawns and especially a Christmas ham. So it's nice to know Drake's have dropped prices across a range of Christmas favourites to make Christmas more affordable. Drake's Supermarkets, ingredients for Christmas.
Zambrero is so good, but it's about to get even better with free burritos. You're not hearing things. I said free burritos. Yep, Zambrero is celebrating their grand opening today at Nuriopta, and they are giving away free burritos from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. today only. That is some seriously feel-good necks. Enjoy burritos, tacos and nachos with fresh, delicious ingredients at Zambrero Nuriopta at Barossa Central on Murray Street.
Hi, it's Laura Geitz here. I'm a former Australian netballer and Suncorp ambassador, but my most important job is being a parent. It's why I'm proud to support the Australian Road Safety Foundation. With the festive season just a jingle bell away, I'm asking all of you to help us make sure Christmas is a time of joy, not heartache. Every choice we make on the road has the potential to be the difference between life and death. So choose life. Choose road safety and be the change we want to see on the road.
This is 5AA Summer Afternoons.
Welcome back. I've got Graham from Craigmore on the phone. Hello, Graham. You got some advice for
hi
me?
there. Sandy, yeah. With the air dryers, cookers, they're really good. They're excellent. We've got two.
You've got two of them?
Yeah, we have one out in the kitchen and we have one outside alongside the barbecue. So we don't make a mess inside. But no, they are fantastic. You get very little fat. You don't have to put much oil or butter or whatever in there. And the food just tastes so much better. It's incredible.
Are they different? I've started to explore that, but you know, the family size one, I guess you can. Could you cook a chicken in it?
Oh yeah, even the little round one we've got. When I say little, it's about 450 wide. That's like a round shape. I think it's Russell Hobbs from memory. I'm not sure, but anyway, you just flip that lid back on it, and it's got a rotisserie in there. You just put the chicken on the rotisserie, and away you go.
Thanks very much for that, Graham. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go down and have an explore when I come off here and see if I can get one for Christmas. I've got Wayne Phillips with me. He's laughing. He was actually demonstrating with his hands as you were chatting to me how you use the air fryer.
Well, no, Graham, exactly right. Yeah, and they are terrific, aren't they? The way they get it done, they're so efficient, and it just brings a new chapter to what was the old traditional way of cooking.
Yeah, it cooks in a lot quicker time as well. You know, and doesn't burn the food. It's just done absolutely al dente.
Like it.
Real good.
Thanks a lot, Graham. Have a great Christmas.
Yeah.
If you want to jump on the 5AA Facebook and YouTube live stream, thanks to Foodland Supermarkets, and you could have seen Wayne showing me with his hands how to use an air fryer.
Just showing the air fryer and placing that chicken in and opening that lid and the rotisserie. And
do you have one?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
you
and
do?
use it regularly. Yes,
Okay.
yes, indeed. And there's I was saying to Graham, it's such an efficient. Hit the buttons and make sure it's done. Nick off and it comes back without all of the grease, oil, all the different fats in it. That.
My girlfriend was, talking to me about it. She should because we have a shack. It is not. It's not a make. No, it is a shack, and the oven hasn't worked for probably 10 years now, except for 2 hot plates. So I was just thinking that might be quite
minimal.
good.
Yeah, just a handy thing to have and do that roast and just trust it. And we've had a lot of fun with it. My wife's very proficient with it, and we have some terrific tasting gear from it. Yeah,
I
so
will go and check that out.
Well done,
and
too.
see what I can do for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly right. What you need to do. I heard you speaking with Smitho, and a little bit happening in the world of cricket as there tends to be. And Usman Khawaja has been very strong with his stance, but the ICC needing to be consistent, I suppose, with their thoughts and the way they administer the game. So that's their responsibilities. And so it'll be very interesting when the Australian team gets to the MCG, just to see how Usman, if he's been very civil and sensible with his understanding as to how it's been delivered, but he's with his views on the situation that he's talking about, he's been consistent with that and quite strong, but needs to be understanding and will adhere, I'm sure, to what the ICC, the instructions will be.
Yeah, I guess the rule's the rule.
Yes.
They've got to make a clear line so that everybody understands.
Yes, and that's got to be consistent.
Consistent,
across the global game. That's what it is. And yes, there are a lot of political and other issues that are going on in the world that we know about, but the game needs to be administered and to ensure that is consistent across the game. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Who have you got playing with you tonight?
I've got Campo again. Scotty Camporelli's
Campo.
in. Yeah, Campo's in again, so he'll be up to mischief as per normal. But we're really keen. We'll be chatting with the skipper of the Adelaide 36ers, Mitch McCarron. They've got they've got a Christmas Eve game, a very, very important important one against Brisbane Bullets. So we'll chat with Mitch and see what they're up to, what they go try and turn it around and get a win there. And the other one that we're really keen to be chatting with, the Bay Sheffield. What an event it is down there at Collie Reserve. So back to Collie Reserve, which is just brilliant. What a place to have such an event and have that back into town. So we'll chat with Kim Steer, the SA Athletics chairman, of SA Athletics, and just find out what's going on, what events are there, how many people they'll have, and male, female, sprint, distance, all those sorts of things, right there at Collie Reserve.
It was a great
isn't
event,
it just? Incredible. So we've got a bit happening, but we'll have a bit of fun with it and taking the calls as always.
Excellent. Oh, I'll look forward to it. And I'm sorry everybody for laughing at Campo. It's just that I was talking that everybody had to have a nickname.
Yeah, well, it's just, and that's it. Scotty Camporelli. What's it going to be?
And then you get stuck with the nicknames and then you can't remember what their real names are. That's the worst thing. It's like, hi, Campo. Have a great Christmas, Wayne. I'll see you in the new year.
Gotcha.
Well, that's almost it for today. We've got a couple of things. I want to read this right before I finish off, but we've got a COVID-19 update. So there have been 1,657 new cases of COVID reported in the last week. I guess it's just a reminder to please be careful. Make sure that you do don't stop your hygiene stuff. Wash your hands. Wear a mask if you're around people who may be a little bit compromised in terms of immune systems. But we are still getting hospitalisations, and we are still getting deaths through that virus. So you can still do a RAT test or a rapid antigen test if you want to. And with those referrals, you can actually go through to SA Health. It is really important that we do that. I just want to thank everybody that I've spoken to and all the text messages that come through. It's been so lovely. I will be back in January on the 8th. And a huge shout out and thank you to Josh for being so patient with me this week and for having so much great fun in the studio. Thank you all. I'll see you in the new year.
G'day, it's Dan's.
G'day, I'm Johnny.
Hi, my name's Belinda and I listen to FIVEAA with the FIVEAA